What's going on, guys? We'll go back with another War Within video. We're going to talk about Paladin today. I'm going to do the hero talent trees for Ret Paladin soon. I want to first talk about the big changes that have come to the Spec tree. There's actually like a lot of changes here. So I was going to I started seeing a couple of the changes and I was like, I'll just put it into one of my videos about the hero talents. Then I was like, actually, there's just way too many. So we got to talk about them. But the next video that I do will be on the hero talents. So stay tuned for those. Okay. We're going to talk about Hammered In and the Herald of the Sun and all that stuff. I've got some small changes that are happening to the Holy Paladin tree, and then it goes all the way up to like massive complete reworkings of stuff. So we're gonna cover all of it. Let's start with your mastery first of all. Your mastery is getting a buff, I would say. Holy Paladin mastery right now just says increases your holy damage by X amount. Okay. In the War Within, your judgment now has a chance to blast the target with light, dealing extra holy damage. So this is pretty cool, and you can also talent into adjudication. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit to this talent and say that Hammer of Wrath can also trigger High Lord's Judgment. So in an AoE situation, your Divine Toll is throwing judgments at everything. That's very likely to proc your High Lord Judgment, this damage proc. In single target, they're giving you the extra Hammer of Wrath proc so that your Judgment and your Hammer of Wrath can now both proc it to give you some extra juice on your single target damage. Okay, that's why they're doing it this way. So adjudication used to be like the talent that created that little hammer that flies around you, and it doesn't do that anymore when you crit with Hammer of Wrath. Now it's just your critical strikes. Actually, just Hammer of Wrath actually just has a chance. It doesn't. You don't even have to crit with it. It just always has a chance. So that's the first thing. You're getting a new bump to your mastery, which is nice. I didn't even think that Ret Paladin really needed a bump to their mastery, but hey, you've got one. Next, let's talk about wings. And actually, right before we get to wings, I'm gonna do Judgment. I'm doing this out of order. I want to keep in theme for a second. Judgment right now for Ret Paladin, if you have greater Judgment, which you always do, it's going to apply a 20% increased damage taken from your next holy power ability, right? This is why you always Judgment before you use a spender. Make sure you always throw Judgment before a spender. This is why Divine Toll is so good. When you press Divine Toll, it puts Judgment on everything, and then you hit Divine Storm, and it does extra damage to everything. One problem with the way Judgment works in the current game is that if you throw a Judgment and then throw like a Divine Toll Judgment, it will overwrite the Judgment that's there, and then you'll have wasted one charge of that extra damage going towards your Divine Storm, right? So instead of like Judgment, Divine Storm, Judgment, Divine Storm, you go like Judgment, Judgment for some reason, and then you do Divine Storm. You've wasted a little proc there. Now, there's also things that cause Judgment to stack, the Judgment debuff to stack twice on an enemy. That is something that does exist right now, but sometimes you run the risk of overwriting the Judgment that you have on the enemy. That is a problem, especially if you're taking Divine Resonance, which you often do. So when you cast Divine Toll, you get that first wave of judgments, and then the second wave of judgments that's coming out, you have to be kind of careful that you don't overwrite it. So now you don't have to worry about that. All that to say that you don't have to worry about that anymore, because you can simply throw your judgments and it's gonna put that there. Oh, I'm in the wrong talents. Oh my God, give me a second. I'm in completely the wrong talents. You're gonna throw your AoE judgment, and then it's gonna start stacking on enemies, which is really great. So now you just have stacking debuffs on an enemy, and then as you use your holy power spenders, you will start to consume them, but you're never ever going to like overwrite them, which is the best part about it. So watch this. I'm gonna throw my judgment. I got a stack of judgment right here. Okay, now I'm gonna press Divine Toll, and it's got 2 stacks of judgment. Then I'm gonna throw judgment again. Now I have 3 stacks of judgment. I use the Divine Storm, another Divine Storm. I can just keep Divine Storming, and I can keep consuming those extra judgments. You can see there's more judgments stacking up because I have Divine Resonance. There's another one there. So I'm never at risk of ruining the judgment that I have on the enemy or overwriting it. I'm always gonna get that value. Now, each individual judgment that you apply, each time you apply a judgment, it has like a 10-second window before that falls off. So you do have a limited sort of window there to make it work, but the point is you're not overwriting the greater judgment debuff anymore, which is fantastic. That is a massive change. Okay, let's get to the new wings. Yes, there's a new wings. Down here, there's a new talent called Radiant Glory. Replaces Avenging Wrath. Wake of Ashes activates Avenging Wrath for 13 seconds. So I don't know what they're going to do with these talents right here, because both Crusade and Avenging Wrath might do the exact same thing right now on the alpha. They're not supposed to. Like, Crusade is supposed to be this big haste buff that you keep getting, but they both seem to just like be functioning in the exact same way. I don't really know what's going on. If you don't take Radiant Glory, you can still take 1 minute wings. But if you do take Radiant Glory, you now have a 30-second wings. Okay? Now, obviously, it lasts for about half the duration that a normal wings could last for. It only lasts for 13 seconds, but you get it every 30 seconds. So it's the same difference, right? You either get it for like 25 seconds at a 1 minute cooldown or 13 seconds at a 30-second cooldown. Same thing. So it's now tied to Wake of Ashes, which is pretty cool. And it also means you don't have to press it anymore, which it's off the GCD anyway. It didn't really matter. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing with this, to be honest. You also get this extra proc where each holy power spent has a chance to activate Avenging Wrath for 7 seconds. The best part about this in my mind right now is that if you want to play Herald of the Sun, you get the Sun's avatar, which is during Avenging Wrath, you become linked to your Dawn Lights. Avenging Wrath applies 4 Dawn Lights onto nearby enemies or allies. So, like, instead of getting this Sun's avatar buff once per minute with Avenging Wrath Might, you're going to get it every 30 seconds now. So that is just a straight buff to Herald of the Sun. Otherwise, I don't really know how this necessarily changes it, except that you can basically have the wings buff, which I think is just giving you 20% crit, 20% damage, 20% healing, which is good. I'm not trying to downplay that. I'm just saying I don't think there's any other buff you're getting anymore. You can have that on like every single pack now in a Mythic Plus environment, and on a raid fight, you might need wings every 30 seconds as opposed to every minute. I don't know. The cadence of the raid fight might demand 30-second bursts of damage. Imagine for a second that a raid boss summons a bunch of adds every 30 seconds. Well, this would be a great talent to take. So there's definitely, it gives you flexibility, and it's OP as hell for Herald of the Sun. Okay? Those are the main 2 things. Very, very cool. I like it. Gives you more flexibility. I didn't even think we needed this, but hell, there you go. We've got it. So that's the new wings. Speaking of Wake of Ashes, this talent Burn to Ash got buffed a little bit. It's a little bit different now. When Truth's Wake critically strikes, its duration is extended by 2 seconds. Your other damage over time effects deal 30% increased damage to targets affected by Truth's Wake. So that's a nice little buff there, and you're obviously getting extra crit from being in wings. Every time you press Wake of Ashes, you're going to have 20% more crit. So with this talent here, right? So very, very cool synergy there. Let's get to the new talents. Some other new talents that are here that are really crazy. Number 1, Judge, Jury, and Executioner is now completely different. This used to just give you 10% more critical strike chance on Judgment. Now it says, oh, we got disconnected. Let's hope we can reconnect. All right, we're back. Blizzard actually updated the game as I was in the middle of making the first section here. So we're going to keep going. We're on Judge, Jury, Executioner. So, excuse me. This is a brand new talent. This used to say your Judgment has 10% increased critical strike chance, and now it says that your Divine Storm has a 40% chance to cause your next final verdict to hit 3 additional targets. So that's 4 in total. This gives us essentially like a cleave option as a Ret Pally, where you can occasionally be weaving in those final verdicts, in order to do lots of extra damage. If you're on a pack that's like only got 4 targets, let's say, you're going to do a lot more damage by pressing Templar Verdict that hits 4 targets versus hitting a Divine Storm, which is going to hit all targets but do a lot less damage. Like, Divine Storm only does 14,000 radiant damage. Templar's Verdict does 26,000 holy damage. Now, that's not going to proc your Searing Light stuff. I get that, but maybe there's a dungeon where you actually have a lot of packs where there's lots of 4 target cleave, maybe 5 targets total, and then this would actually be worth doing. You do have to get your Divine Storm to proc this, but for 1 talent point, it might actually be worth it. It's kind of cool. Okay, here's another talent point. Vanguard of Justice. Enemies hit by Final Verdict take 50% increased damage from your next Divine Storm. So again, you could kind of combo this, right, where you hit 4 targets with your final verdict, and then that preps them to take 50% more damage from your next Divine Storm. I don't know. There's maybe a combo there. I think more realistically, this is a single target talent that you're going to want to take, and then you can combo it with Empyrean Legacy, where you throw your Judgment, and then your next final verdict is going to activate a Divine Storm for free, and then that's going to automatically consume this new buff that you're getting. So while you're doing your single target rotation on a raid boss, you're getting extra free damage from this proc from Empyrean Legacy, and then it's also being buffed further by Vanguard of Justice. So there's some interesting talents here now. You know, this used to be a talent that just made your holy power spenders be able to go up to consume 4 holy power instead of 3, and it was kind of janky and clunky. It didn't really work very well. So these are some interesting combos that they're introducing now. You've got a cleave option, you've got the single target option over here with the Empyrean Legacy combo. I think that's kind of interesting. Could be cool. Let's look at Boundless Judgment. Judgment is still going to generate 1 additional holy power, but now it also has a 50% increased chance to trigger your mastery, which is the free proc of damage that we talked about, right? So there's an additional bonus there that you're getting now that you have a brand new mastery. That's pretty cool. Adjudication, I think I talked about this earlier, but Hammer of Wrath will now also proc your mastery, which is super cool. Very good for single target, right? In a single target situation, you're going to be throwing Judgment and Hammer of Wrath because you're going to take all these different nodes down here, and you're going to be getting the Divine Arbiter stacking up, and you're going to be getting lots of procs on your mastery that you wouldn't normally be able to get, right? In an AoE situation, casting Divine Toll hits everybody with Judgment. That's going to proc your mastery a lot more often than single target. So they're giving you the additional option here of having Hammer of Wrath proc your mastery, which is awesome. Now, let me get to this node here, Divine Hammers. This is a very significant new button. So this used to just be like replace your consecration and it would spin hammers around and do extra damage. Now it's a 2-minute cooldown. It also replaces consecration, so you don't get any free consecration damage for like the duration of the dungeon that you're doing or whatever, but you do get this new button called Divine Hammer. Divine Hammers spin around you, consuming holy power to strike enemies within 8 yards for radiant damage, which can also trigger, of course, Searing Light. While active, your Judgment Blade of Justice recharge 75% faster and increase the rate at which Divine Hammers proc. So this is essentially like Breath of Sindragosa from a Frost DK that accelerates over time and will eventually fizzle out on its own. It's going to start consuming holy power quicker and quicker and quicker, and you're like fighting the holy power consumption by trying to generate as much holy power as you can. It's a really interesting idea, and it's absolutely like a Frost DK Breath of Sindragosa situation going on here. So let me show you what this looks like. It used to consume 1 holy power. It starts out at 0 holy power now, and then it slowly consumes 1 holy power and then 2, and then again it ramps up over time and it gets really crazy. So let's get our other stuff out of the way first, and I'm gonna build up to 5 holy power, and then I'm gonna press this button, okay? So we'll go here, we'll do this. We're gonna get this out of the way. Then we Divine Toll into Divine Hammer. You can see the hammers are around me. My holy power is slowly draining. I'm not pressing any holy power spenders. I'm just pressing holy power generators because of the damage that this is doing is crazy. And then it fizzled out right there. It just ended right there. So that was it. But you look at my damage. I was holding above 320k DPS, which was like insane right now. If you've seen the numbers on the alpha right now, that is an outrageous amount of damage. So this gives you, I would say, it depends how good you are at generating holy power, but you might want to actually save Divine Toll. That I didn't even think about that, but you should definitely save Divine Toll now that I'm thinking about it, because it's going to generate 5 holy power for you. That's a great way to like keep this window going. So you can see the creativity here. You can get lots of different ways of generating holy power. Wake of Ashes can do it for you. You could just pop this at the beginning of the pull, essentially, is what I probably should have done. I'm used to this costing 1 holy power. It doesn't cost 1 holy power anymore because of the update, but pop it at the beginning of the pull and then do your Wake of Ashes, do your Divine Toll, keep generating lots of holy power, and you will keep the hammers spinning, and they will do outrageous amounts of damage from what I've seen. And of course, they can proc the Searing Light thing as well. So really interesting addition. I like it. I like having this little mini game that you're playing where you're fighting your holy power. Really, I think this is how Breath of Sindragosa should be done for Frost DK, and I'm kind of sad that they haven't figured that out yet. But bottom line is, this is a really cool new ability. If I already mentioned this, I'm sorry, but Searing Light will now also proc off of your Mastery, High Lord's Judgment. So not only are you getting your radiant damage doing that, but you're getting this proc as well. So all in all, these changes are extensive. They are massive. Like big fundamental changes to your wings, how you want your wings to operate, a whole new bonus to your Mastery, which gives you this chance to proc, and then you get some new talents that are going to help you play around with that Mastery and add additional damage. Things like High Lord's Wrath. Mastery, High Lord's Judgment is 50% more effective on Judgment, and Hammer of Wrath, you can take that as well if you're doing like a single target build. I really like what they've done with this tree, adding in these talents that were kind of useless before, but might actually give you a different playstyle now. Getting some cleave with Judge, Jury, Executioner, getting some more single target damage from your free Divine Storms with Vanguard of Justice. I really like what they've done with Ret Pally. I think there's some awesome changes here, and of course this brand new cooldown that you get to play around with. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm going to keep doing videos on Ret Pally very soon. We're going to do Templar and Herald of the Sun, but I just wanted to make sure I covered all the crazy changes that have come to the Spec tree. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Love you all. I'll see you in the next one.